What's good, everyone? I've been listening to metal for most of my life and playing guitar for most of that time as well. Over time, you see that everyone always talks about the same bands in the eras that they're in. Today, it's Bad Omens, Falling in Reverse, Bring Me the Horizon, Spirit Box, Architects. They're all being spoken about, and for good reason. They are incredible, goated bands that I think deserve the fame and the reputation they've built. However, I do think that sometimes it's good to mix things up just a little. So today I want to take a look at few bands that have less than 100,000 subscribers, some of them less than 100,000 monthly listeners. You may know some of these bands, you might not. I hope that through sharing them, you will also comment your hidden gems that you believe should be on more people's radars. I'm going to be giving you guys my secret stash, so I hope that you guys will also comment yours below. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. My name is Bryn and we cover all things metal, guitar, music production, whatever in between. And I hope that you will stick around so you don't miss future videos with maybe a few extra hidden gems like the ones we're going to cover today. Let's start with a band that I think many of you will probably know, but I still think they are on the rise and in my opinion are not spoken about enough, and that is Thornhill. They're an Australian metal band that formed way back in 2015, so they've been around for almost a decade at this point, and they've released 3 studio albums since then, with their most recent being called Bodies, released earlier this year. They started with a kind of djent influenced sound, and over time they've really moved into a more atmospheric, cinematic, Deftones styled sound, and I really think their new album, their brand new album Bodies, has a fantastic noir aesthetic, especially in my song recommendation for you guys, which is going to be Silver Swarm. I think if you watch the music video, you listen to the music production side of it, absolutely incredible stuff. Another song recommendation would be Red Summer, and I think that because they've had many years in kind of music production, there's a plethora of music to go through with them. You'll definitely find a couple of tracks that you vibe with and that you can really headbang to. I think that they are really pushing boundaries, but still underappreciated in the metal scene. So go and check them out. Next up, we have another Australian metal band, and this is Make Them Suffer. Now, Make Them Suffer have been around for many years. Started in 2008. They've released 5 studio albums, with the most recent one being a self-titled album, Make Them Suffer, in 2024, which is the album that I found to be introduced to them. Their earlier stuff was more kind of deathcore focused, but it seems that they have progressively included and brought in metalcore sounds and the metalcore aesthetic, similar to djent, and culminating in building this hybrid sound that they have, which in my opinion is what makes them stand out for me. And so even after 15 plus years that they've been around, I think that the fact that their sound is still evolving and they're still tweaking and improving really shows that they're a band worth being on your radar, on your playlist for. My 2 song recommendations for them would be Weaponized and Ghost of Me. Absolute bangers. Next up, we have the German metal band Annie's Okay. At first, you might read it as Annie's Okay or something like that, but it is kind of pronounced like Annie is okay. But yeah, they were formed way back in Germany in 2007. So similar to Make Them Suffer, they've been around for over 15 years at this point. And with their subsequent releases, they've changed and adapted their style and sound, with their most recent album, Aurora, being released in 2020. So they haven't really had a lot of music produced in the last 5 years, but I really feel like they are a hidden gem from Germany in like the post-hardcore sound with really, really beautiful lyrics. I absolutely adore their lyricism, the way that they write the lyrics to their tracks and their songs, and the alternating vocals between their screamer and their lead singer is so beautiful. And so especially for the tracks that I recommend you guys go listen to, the Nihilist Blues cover, you know, the Bring Me the Horizon track, they did a cover of it, which somehow maybe is a little bit better in my opinion. Another track is called Throne of the Sunset, absolute banger. And then it was the song that introduced me to them, which is Good Stories, but it's the remastered version coming off of their most recent album Aurora from 2020. They are, in my opinion, really underappreciated, and you should definitely check them out. Next up we have Sleep Token, who I'm sorry, I can't say that with a straight face. That we are not covering Sleep Token. Next up is going to be Alpha Wolf, and funny enough, this is another band hailing from Australia. They formed in 2013, so they've been around for quite a few years as well, and they've released 3 full studio albums, with their most recent album, Half Living Things, last year. Their sound is like a really aggressive riff writing with like very raw emotion included, and lyrics that deal with trauma, very deep. I think they're a really deep band, and that's what I'm really attracted to. I found the first track by them as the crossover between them and Bless the Fall, called Drag Me Under. And I was blown away by the heaviness and just how incredible it was that I had to check them out, and subsequently fell down the rabbit hole of Alpha Wolf. I would even suggest, if you enjoy their stuff, to go and watch the most recent podcast they did with Gaza. Their 2 guitarists, Sebastian and Scotty. They speak about their riff writing process. They speak about the pedal that they have that gives basically just noise, which in my opinion adds a really essential flair to their sound and makes it sound like Alpha Wolf, which is something that I really appreciate and love. So just like some of the previous bands, there's a lot of tracks that you can go through, and you can find a few that really resonate with you the most. But like I said, my recommendation would definitely be Drag Me Under, and then Akudama as well, one of their more recent tracks. Absolute fire. Next up is a bit of a smaller band called Aviana. They hail from Sweden, started in 2016, and they've released 3 full-length albums to date, with their most recent one being in 2022. One thing I really love about Aviana is that it is almost a one-man led band, with the other members wearing masks on stage and, you know, not really being the central focus, but the main focus being on Joel, their lead singer and lead vocalist, and the one man at the wheel kind of vibe that they have. Especially hailing from Sweden and Stockholm, they have a very unique metalcore sound, and my favorite track that I binged last year listening to is Anomaly by them. I highly recommend that you go and take a listen. They've got some really sick stuff from before, you know, their way back songs coming from 2016. They've got quite a few that started off with a bit more djent influenced, but they've moved into the metalcore djent kind of cohesion that we see nowadays, and they just have an amazing sound, and I really love the vocals, so I would really recommend that you go and give them a listen. Up next, we have one of my favorite bands that I've been attached to over the past 6 months or so, and that is Caskets. They formed in England way back in 2018, so they've been around for quite a few years. They have a debut album from 2021. They've only released 2 albums so far. The first one called Lost Souls, which is the album that I found that drew me in like nobody's business, and their second album that they released in 23, which is called Reflections. The track that I would recommend above all else is Drowned in Emotion. Absolutely incredible work. They are a lot more kind of on the post-hardcore sound, I guess you could say, but they do have a metal and djent influence that really keeps you around and keeps you going, and their drumming in particular is spot on, superb, absolutely incredible drum work. And I really enjoy the emotional density that it gives, that the music gives, and I think that they are really, really polished and well-produced band that are, you know, really going under the radar. Although they do have quite a big following, I think that they still have a huge upside potential. So definitely go and check out Caskets, either Drowned in Emotion or Glass Heart. They're two of arguably their most famous tracks. Absolutely incredible. Next up is one that I'm almost certain many of you will have no idea about, and they are a Lithuanian female band called Black Spikes. They formed in 2018, and they've been around for a few years as well, and they've only released a single album to date. However, their most recent singles that they have been pumping out are absolutely phenomenal. They have a really melodic heavy metal influence with some of the greatest chugging riffs that I've heard in many years, and I adore their bold visual aesthetic that they go for, especially in the song that I found them through. I would definitely recommend Imperator or Hypnose as your two tracks to go and listen. If you enjoy those, you will enjoy every other track that they've released so far. They are absolutely crushing it. Very niche. They have, you know, interviews in Lithuanian, so you have to use like ChatGPT to translate them and stuff. But they are a phenomenally talented all-female band that I think really needs more attention. And lastly, we have an American-based band called Deadlands. They are a duo formed in New York that have only released a couple of EPs and no full-length album as of yet. They are definitely a metalcore band with a broad appeal. There's very wide appeal to listen to them because of the fact that they include singing and really, really phenomenal screaming and growls and everything. But the fact that it's a duo, the multi-instrumentalist CJ and then their vocalist, I think her name is Casey, if I'm not mistaken, the two of them work so well together and create such awesome tracks, with the one track that I found them through being called Limbo. I would 100% recommend to go and give it a listen after this and see what I mean, where, you know, you can kind of hear that broad appeal that they're going for, but still having their own sound because of Casey's vocals and her ability to really bring in a new era of female-led or female frontman metalcore bands. So those were my hidden gems that I think you guys should 100% go and check out. I really appreciate it if you guys have stuck around and listened through all of the recommendations and the hidden gems that I've gone through today. If you think they were overrated or already mainstream, let me know, drop a comment. And like I said at the beginning, please share your hidden gems, your stash of bands that are still on the under the radar that you think are really, really worth listening to. I hope that you guys enjoyed the video today. Thank you so much. Please subscribe for more videos like this, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.